Hello, and welcome to another episode of Our Own Devices. This time we have with us a product, or we're going to talk about a product which all of us use all the time. We take our work, play, personal lives, relationships, everything to this one, ubiquitous app which has become such an important part of all our lives. And I'm sure that's all I need to say because we are talking about WhatsApp, and we are going to talk to the person who is responsible for all the design of WhatsApp. And we have with us Idit Yanev, who's the head of design for WhatsApp. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nandu. So good to be here.
Again, there's a lot to talk about. But like, let me ask you a very simple question, right? I've been a user of WhatsApp for many years. Most of us have been, but it's always been a very simple, minimalist app in that sense. It wouldn't confuse you with what to do. Very clearly, what to do. Yeah, but in the past year or so, you have maybe pushed the envelope a little bit. You have added a lot of new features, and design has been part of it, right? Because you've brought in new colors, you made things look different. So how is it designing an app which is actually used by hundreds of millions of users? You're not talking about the regular millions, you're talking about hundreds of millions of users. Because then your thinking has to be very different, right? Because you can't really think about something that could have a problem with, let's say, 10% people, but when with 10% you're talking about maybe 100 million there. So how do you work on something like this?
Yes, that is a great question. Designing for really billions of people around the world is such a big responsibility. And when you think about this responsibility, you could either freeze because of the responsibility is so heavy, or you can actually take this as an opportunity to innovate and create things that are useful and delightful for people in new ways. So I'm actually thinking about this responsibility as we take things very seriously. We iterate and we work hard to get the product to a state where it is always simple, reliable, and private. And we will be talking about those principles later if you want to hear about this more. But always have this opportunity to create and innovate more because people's expectation for communication changes and evolves over time. People needs evolve over time, and we owe it to our users to create new things for them.
So is this also looking at a lot of data, because you have a lot of users who use it differently, who understand. See, I guess a lot of users like me don't maybe use all the features because we are very comfortable using the old way of using WhatsApp. So a lot of new features are there. Maybe we don't use it because we are very happy with the core features. So do you look at a lot of data to figure out what to add, maybe what to take away?
We are looking at data, but we're mostly are listening to our users. So this week, for example, in India, we've been meeting with people who use our products, people who use the product for family and friends communication, people who use status, people who use channels, people who kind of like run their business entirely on WhatsApp. It's such a humbling experience. So when you design a product that kind of addresses so many different needs of people, you need to focus on the core need first, right? Which is, again, a simple, reliable, and private product for them to communicate freely and privately with the people they care about the most. And then over time, their needs evolve, but they need more from the product. How can you do that in a way that still feels very simple and reliable and private for them, but helps them do even more with the product?
So if you look at the design philosophy of WhatsApp, is that like a charter? Is that like a document, that, or is that something that you have in a poster, inside your Menlo Park office, which you look at every day, or is it something, is it something that constantly evolves?
Yes, so the things that never change are our principles. And I actually always say that our principles of simple, reliable, private are much more than just a poster on the wall, right? We definitely have this as a poster, but it doesn't just stay there. We're actually debating using our principles. We make decisions using our principles. So that is kind of like the fundamentals of designing for people who use WhatsApp. The way I think about the design philosophy and how we approach design for billions of people is twofold. One, we are taking inspiration from what people are already doing in the product, and we want to enhance what they are already doing, help this, become even easier, faster, more reliable, more expressive, more fun and delightful. And on top of it, we want to help them and empower them to communicate in new ways and to get even more things done using the product. So the core is always on enhancing and improving, but then there are multiple ways we can innovate and create new experiences for people.
Now, um, India is a big market for you. It's always been one of, I guess, always your biggest user bases. Um, and you would have similar markets with a lot of, again, millions of users. How does that sort of build, so you're also then talking about cultural sensitivities, design itself is understood in differently in different parts of the world. Colors are understood differently, have different meanings in different parts of the world. How does all of that fold into your thinking of creating a product? Or are there maybe different versions or different aspects to how it's rolled down in different, rolled out in different parts of the world?
So we are thinking about designing truly globally. We are touching
Yeah,
tons of people using the product for very different use cases throughout their day. And the way we think about the design of the product is if you know how to use the device you own, then using WhatsApp should feel easy. So that is why if you open WhatsApp on iOS versus Android versus desktop apps, you would see that the app looks and feels different. And that is an intentional design decision. We want to use the native patterns from the operating system, from the device to make sure that people don't need to relearn how to do specific things. If they open the app for the first time, it should feel familiar enough for them to be able
yeah.
to focus on the conversation. The conversation is what is truly is important, and that is the core and the heart of the product. And then around all of that, how we can create even more ways for them to customize their chats, for example, make things feel more unique to them. One of the nice examples that we've actually kind of launched payments in India,
Yeah.
thinking about, our customers in India and how we can make things that are more delightful for them. So when you send money over WhatsApp, you can actually customize with cricket backgrounds, with hearts, just
Hmm.
different that will make people feel this is actually representing what I'm interested with. So we do have pockets in the product that you can see that kind of treatment.
So if you look at the past few months or quarters, are there things there that you think are significant changes compared to how WhatsApp's design has moved over the past few years?
So the things that stay constant is our focus on simplicity, reliability, and privacy, always. The things that we are innovating with and you are seeing more of a change, um, one of the key examples would be the usage of Meta AI.
Yeah,
And India has actually been our key market or our top market globally for using Meta AI. And it's been so amazing to see how people use the product this week. I actually met this woman in Varanasi, and she has several children, and she was using Meta AI to help them with schoolwork, better education, and she was also using Meta AI to have a conversation about recipes and how she can enhance some of the recipes that she's using. So it was really great to see how she uses the product already. And then we told her, you can also create images using Meta AI. And then she just, asked Meta AI to create an image of a flower for her. And instantly there was this really gorgeous flower. She was so excited. And then she sent this to her sister that lives in a different state in India. And they make video calls every day on WhatsApp. So it's such a key example or very cool example in my mind of she's using the core functionality of the product. Video calls on WhatsApp is her way to keep, close connection every day with her sister after she got married, but at the same time, she's able to get her kids to, enhance their schoolwork, get more enhancements on recipes and cooking, and then create images using AI. So democratizing Meta AI with Meta AI in WhatsApp in a product that she's already using every day. She doesn't need to go
Yeah.
to. That is kind of like a classic example. The core is really important. Make video calling in this example even better for her and for her sister, but then empower her to communicate and do other things using AI.
And it's great that the Meta AI is where the users are. It's not a separate destination they have to go to, right? Like, you are using WhatsApp all the time and you have a query, you just go there and do it there itself. You don't have to get out of the app. You don't have to think differently, right?
Exactly. It's so easy. It's already there. And when you start using this over time, you kind of reach out back to it every time you have a different question. I'm seeing people creating kind of like funny names for their groups already on WhatsApp. People are creating stickers using WhatsApp. And think about it. We are always improving the sticker packs on WhatsApp. We're always want to create stickers that are more delightful, thinking about cultural moments, celebrations, and festivals in India and globally, how we can help people express themselves with stickers. But now using Meta AI, the only limit to creating stickers is purely your imagination. You can add
Yeah.
any prompt you want and create any sticker you want.
So are you also thinking about integrating or interweaving WhatsApp as part of the larger Meta ecosystem?
We are thinking about ways that once you create something that is usable across the different apps within Meta, when it's actually useful for you, you should be able to do that. So one nice example is avatars. I don't know if you've created an avatar yet, but you create an avatar for yourself instead of using your profile photo. And then once you create that, that works across the different apps. And the most important thing for us is to communicate also visually and very clearly that this avatar will be used for, you will be able to use this across the different apps. So when you open the flow to create an avatar, the whole design system there is very much meta design system. It's not a WhatsApp design system. And this is a very intentional design decision to kind of signal to you this is a meta space, and whatever you create here is actually you will be able to.
Yeah. And I get the sense that you have been in India for a few days. You have been taking in the country, the colors, the sights, the smells. Um, how does this and the other travels and the impression that you get about different places, how does that help you, or how do you imbibe that as a designer?
How can I say it? The biggest source of inspiration that I have is seeing people using the product, right?
Yeah.
People are truly the biggest source of inspiration for designers who create consumer products and business products. Um, Seeing in real life how people use their product to, for example, just today I met with this incredible young man who's opened a clothing business to provide security, financial security for his family, and he's running everything through our business app. He created this catalog for all of the clothes that he designs. Customers are reaching out to him after he created ads that run on Instagram, that run on Facebook. People reach out to him right there on his WhatsApp, and he can just reply to them. Um, we've heard that business owners know that once the conversation in WhatsApp begins, the deal is on its way, right?
Yeah.
You are chatting with your customer. Like what can be better for that for you as a small business owner? So there are so many opportunities for us to do it and enhance that even more when we are in the market. And personally, I've been, designing and serving people globally and in markets like India for so many years. So I was just really excited to finally be here. And as a designer myself, just seeing the aesthetics, the color, the culture, is just phenomenal. It's such an honor to find.
I've seen, for instance, that a lot of people who use WhatsApp, and again, WhatsApp is so ubiquitous in India, right? People using really affordable devices to people using high-end devices. So you have a lot of people who maybe can't read or write, but they use WhatsApp. And for them, video calling is such an empowering feature. And again, a lot of them are far away from their homes, for their livelihood. You get to meet, your near and dear ones literally every day, twice a day. And I've seen, for instance, like women dress up to make that call, and this is something you wouldn't have thought of maybe 10 years back, right? And they go and stand under a proper under a light. Uh, and these are big things. These are events that happen on a daily basis. Like, and again, this took a completely different dimension when we had COVID. And and for instance, a lot of kids started learning on WhatsApp, right? Because everybody didn't have a proper education platform where you could bring kids online. So a lot of small schools and people who couldn't afford it were moved their education completely to WhatsApp, and it became such an integral part. So do you have learnings from that period, and different types of users, right? Not every user can understand text, for instance. So how do you bring in that kind of a learning also?
Yes, great question. Uh, First of all, we've seen this move for education in particular to video on WhatsApp, especially during COVID.
Yeah,
It was again such an honor to be able to help people at that time across the country, across the globe. Um, and we've been hearing this week that, since then, people use the product for this education purposes. This is a constant behavior that kind of sparked during COVID, but it retained over time. People just do more over video calls. Um, so this is something that we can always learn from and enhance and improve even more. And we are always thinking about designing for truly everyone. So when we think about the inspiration of who's using the product, the biggest design challenge is to ensure that the product works well to the most tech savvy user who uses everything
yeah,
and all technologies, but though also the grandfather in a rural area. Um,
yeah.
and this is something that the design team at WhatsApp flourishes on. Like this is the constraint or kind of like the design challenge
Hmm.
makes us so excited. This is our day to day. So some of the key examples, one example would be voice notes, for example, right? What we call push to talk. We
Yeah,
just saw Varanasi this week. We were visiting this really rural village, and people just using voice calls. They are farming. They're out on the field. They don't have a lot of time. They're very busy, but they want to say something to one of their relatives or someone they are working with. They just send a voice note on WhatsApp. And it's really helpful, especially for people with different tech literacy, different actual literacy of reading and writing. It's such an important part of what we do. So we always think about ways to make this even easier for them. Another thing that I would mention is one of our key principles is simplicity. And when we thought about designing and redesigning some of the key elements of the app, one of the key things that we are really careful with is changing muscle memory for users,
hmm, yeah.
not read as fluently as others. If they rely on the position of specific buttons, you don't want to wake up one day and you want to make a call and everything kind of moved around. Um, so we are trying to be as careful as possible to make intentional design decisions and changes. So when we do change something, we know that this is going to be worth it.
So, if I can ask you one last question, how important are colors in the scheme of things? Because uh, WhatsApp has had that one green that we all associate with, since it started. Um, and again, as you said, you don't want to move things around, but you would want, as a designer, maybe you're itching to use a new color. So, how do you think about colors? And is that also important from an accessibility perspective to keep colors in mind?
Yes, absolutely. So I know you talk a lot about Apple products and iOS in particular. So as
Yeah,
you know, on iOS, we moved from the blue accent color to green.
yeah,
It
green,
was
yeah.
a design decision to kind of unify and have a consistent palette across the different platforms to really bring the WhatsApp brand to life across the platforms. But we also took the opportunity to make things even better for our users. So when we started, we actually explored around 35 different variations of color palettes. We decided to go with the accent green, but we also did a redesign of the other colors across the app. We tried to simplify our usage of all of the little grays and the different shades that you see across the app. We took the opportunity to make things higher in contrast, to meet accessibility needs as well. And we also created a better dark mode for our users. We've heard from people that they wanted a darker dark mode. And by the way, this week in India, I've seen so many people using dark mode, much more
Yeah.
than in the US, for example. And when I asked them why, they said, I'm using WhatsApp all day long and it's easier on the eyes. And of course,
It also saves battery, and at least we think so.
yes, absolutely. So it was also part of kind of like the color overhaul that we were thinking about listening to users, listening to what they need, thinking about designing for everyone, because we also care so deeply about accessibility and making things even better and more useful for our users, but then create something new. And sometimes with color, it is so subjective and it can take some time for you to get used to it. Um, but I'm very excited about those changes. We've been getting really great feedback from people, and we are currently working on more ways for people to customize the appearance of their chats as well. So better themes for chats, different color palettes. This is something that we are actively working on. Also creating more ways for people to express themselves, not only with color, but effects, for example, in video calls, things that we are really excited about and we are working on right now.
So it's ultimately a global product with a global design, but which is maybe personalized to the point of the end user, right? Like, everybody has their own version of WhatsApp, like you have with, religion and all of other, a lot of the other things.
Yes, this is your personal private space. You should be able to feel when you open the app, this is your private and personal space. So you should be able to customize and make things feel more personal and delightful for you.
So thank you for being on the show. And I'm sure, like, it's not about listening about a product that, you might want to buy or somebody else is benefiting from. This is something everybody uses. So I'm sure that this has been absolutely, insightful for every single person, because you're all using it. Now you know why that green is there, why that blue has gone away, and also why a certain button has been at the same spot for 10 years or so. Thank you for being on the show, Edith.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
So you are listening to Our Own Devices. We'll be back again next week with another guest and a lot more insight. Till then, we are available everywhere you listen to your pods.